Alright, we're on the final leg of our trip. Welcome to another episode of Overrated, Underrated with me, your host, Mr. McLean.
And Road Dog, Skylar Breezy McLean.
Think about it a little longer because this one I could really go into a couple different avenues. I think spring break. Alright, we're on the final leg of our trip. Welcome to another episode of Overrated, Underrated with me, your host, Mr. McLean, and Road Dog, Skylar Breezy McLean, as our narrator. I hope you enjoyed the last one. So we got another one for you loaded in the queue. So without further ado, let's get into the first one. What is it?
Filters.
Filters?
Yeah.
I don't...
Let's just call it Instagram filters.
Oh, Instagram filters. That's a good one. Instagram filters. Overrated because it's hyping up this fake reality, this fake life thing, and I don't know. It just when you set things of life on a fake precedent, it's just a slippery slope for disaster. Relationships, honesty, trust, all that nonsense. Overrated. War.
Yeah.
War. Underrated because it is a necessity for a peaceful society. Unfortunately, that is what it is, but underrated because nowadays too many people are against war. However, it is a necessity for a peaceful society, which is why America is the country that we are. Good. School uniforms, overrated. I think it kills uniqueness of an individual. I was going to say individualism, but individualism sounds bad because individualism can be a negative, but it kills the individualism of an individual in a good way, the creativeness of uniqueness of a person in a good way. The only positive note I have to it is, like Albert Einstein, it doesn't require any actual thinking, thought process, brain energy of what you're going to wear for school. And it eliminates, I'm kind of talking myself into school uniforms, and it eliminates bullying, or at least it cuts down on it for like your shoes, but I think if you wanted to argue it, and I'm not going to here, there's negatives of its own, so I'm going to say overrated.
The
Kardashians, super overrated. However, super overrated. I always try to do, this is kind of a bad habit of mine. Not necessarily, because I try to see both sides of it. Super overrated. We live in a silly society that has put these people that really bring no just cause to the world on this platform. We made one of them a billionaire, so kudos to that. What I will say, though, is just like the Paul brothers, they took an opportunity that was kind of presented to them of this fake Insta-fame notoriety, and they leveraged it to the hilt, and they're all super wealthy, successful, talking generational wealth. So for that, props to them, kudos to them. But as a society, I think we messed up doing that. So I got to stand by overrated. Duckface. Overrated. I'm not going to get into that. I mean, I could get into that, but it's going to be silly. So, overrated. Facebook. Overrated because of the censorship that has become of it. Facebook should be a media platform to openly discuss your thoughts and console people, but it has turned into this super left-wing. And I'm not playing the political game on this video. I'm just saying it has. It's turned into this super left-wing, censor anything that doesn't agree with our ideas platform, which is super dangerous, as we've seen in this last election. Again, whoever you voted for is your prerogative. I'm not saying that in one way or another, but to say that it didn't have an effect is a problem. So overrated, but it is so tied into the market now that for an app program like Parler that is built on a platform of, and I've never used Parler, I just know this, built on a platform of freedom of speech and all of that, it just, they kill any up and coming. So I think collectively we need to figure out a way, because they own Instagram too, figure out a way to, I guess, get past it. But I think Facebook is overrated. Saggy pants, overrated. You look like a fool when you do it. Like there's a time. Saggy pants and baggy pants are two different things. Saggy pants, you look like an idiot. Baggy pants, that's completely different. There's a time for comfort.
Plastic surgery.
There was a time in my life, plastic surgery, where I would have said overrated. However, I've been listening to a lot of Joe Rogan, especially on this road trip, and I listened to a podcast of his earlier, and he was really emotional explaining kind of his ideals, and that's he just wants people to be happy, just in general, happy with themselves, happy with their lives, da-da-da. So for that, I'm going to say underrated, which is kind of shocking to me a little bit as well, because I don't like the whole fake society thing. But again, if that is what's going to make somebody happier with themselves and their life and live a happier life, then I'm all for somebody being happy in their own skin and all of that. So underrated. Justin Bieber. Underrated because, again, to the Joe Rogan aspect, because he interviews so many people, being a kid pop star is a very difficult sociological upbringing that a lot of these people, and it's statistically across the board, end up in a bad way. Justin Bieber will be one of those, but he has found a way to kind of reinvent himself in music again, and kind of like Shia LaBeouf went through his bad parts, but also has a lot of good parts. So for that resiliency, underrated. Justin Bieber, you're underrated for that, my man.
Patriots.
The Patriots, underrated, completely underrated. One of the, I'm not really a sports fan. I'm a greatness fan. And when Brady was on the team, I would say underrated because one of the greatest sports, teams to ever, their dominance is unparalleled. However, I really feel with Tom Brady going to the Bucs and doing what he did, as old as he is, it kind of chips away from the Patriots lineage and gives more to the Tom Brady GOAT factor. So for that, I'm going to say the Patriots are overrated. Tom Brady, severely, blatantly, grossly, exuberantly underrated. That man is a killer in all essences of the word.
Family car stickers.
Family car stickers. Overrated because from a protector sheepdog standpoint, family car stickers are indicating to somebody who may be prowling on you, a certain information about your family. Just like if it's a Star Wars family thing, the stalker, the predator, knows that your family is Star Wars fans, so to lure the kid could, come up with a Star Wars shirt on or something like that. And I know that sounds maybe a little exaggerative, silly, but it's not. That's how that stuff works. Those, predators do a little bit of looking into Tim Kennedy and some of the protector stuff that he posts, and how there's a word for it I can't think of right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. How you case somebody, all of that stuff matters. So overrated. Emojis are underrated. Emojis are my jam. I don't really use them that often, but I like emojis. I think emojis spice up a text message. You can say okay, or you can say okay with like a wink face.
Twilight.
I've seen all the Twilights. At the time, I enjoyed all the Twilights. Overrated. I don't really have any relevance to why it's overrated. Probably because I've since watched one of the movies and it just kind of seemed cheesy to me. But at the same scheme, underrated because of what they were able to do, kind of just like Harry Potter. But to me, Twilight, overrated. Valentine's Day, completely overrated. My wife put some of these in here just like the last one because she wants to see me rant about it. I'm not going to rant about it. Valentine's Day is a made-up Hallmark holiday. You don't need a day throughout the year to confess your love to your wife, your spouse, whatever. If you're waiting for that one day a year to be that person, you're doing it all wrong anyways. And this is coming from somebody who's self-proclaimed a terrible partner when it comes to stuff like that. I'm just saying, Valentine's Day is a scam that was created by Hallmark. I don't know if it's created by the actual Hallmark Foundation or not. Just that general store, I guess, not their name, but the classification of store, to fill the blank in between major holidays. That way they can keep ad surplus up and all of that. So Hallmark holiday, just like what Easter turned into. Like, I'm not a religious person, but Easter has a very biblical, significant meaning, and it has turned into a holiday where kids get gifts, and because Hallmark has created this. So for that, overrated. All of those holidays are overrated. Alexa is underrated. I think Alexa is underrated and underutilized. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Alexa. You know, if you're a tech-savvy person, which I'm not necessarily, you can put your whole house on Alexa and do it all from your house. Alexa, start the bath. Alexa, you know, I don't know if you can start the bath, but that'd be cool if you could. I'm sure there's a way to do it. Alexa, turn kitchen lights on. Alexa, turn the music on. Alexa, turn the fireplace on. You do all that from Alexa. Like, it's literally like if you grew up and you've seen, I think it was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where everything in his house is automated. Like, we're living in that. You can buy Alexa and they're like $35, and you can do it off of that. So I think Alexa is underutilized and underrated.
Baby on board signs.
Baby on board signs, same point, overrated. And in fact, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I've heard they're dangerous because some people, some evil people in this world, because evil people exist, you will intentionally try and cause people like that to wreck. That could be a fallacy created by Mothers of America or something like that, but overrated for the same reasons I mentioned about the stick figures. Yeah. Casinos. I've never gone to a casino, so I can't really speak to it. I think for the consumer, overrated. For the business, underrated. And I'll explain why. Because too many people don't have the off switch. So they go, they win a little bit of money, or maybe they don't win at all, and they just keep pulling money at ATM, and then it becomes a disastrous habit. For that, overrated. If you're that kind of person, just don't go, or develop some type of discipline in yourself. Underrated from a business aspect because, I mean, if you look at like the Bellagio and the other ones in Las Vegas, like these are multi-billion, I would argue probably trillion revenue businesses annually that are just consecutively getting people to come through their doors. So they're doing something right. So underrated on the business side, overrated on the consumer side.
Nose rings.
Nose rings are properly rated. Not overrated or underrated. My wife has one. I think the concept of a nose ring is overrated because I think a lot of younger girls or girls battling with an insecurity issue get it to try to feel confident in themselves, and for that, fine, but it's, listen, honey, darlings, you don't need it. But also underrated because there's a certain confidence in certain individuals that get it. Like my wife has her septum pierced, and if you'd asked us 5 years ago if she would have it done, the answer would always be no. But she's got it. She likes it. I think it's sexy as hell on her. There's a certain confidence issue with it. So for that, underrated. Spring break. Some of these I would really like to think about a little longer, because this one I could really go into a couple different avenues. I think spring break is underrated because for a lot of those people, that is the best moments of their lives. And you could argue that that's sad, or you could argue that that's a cool concept. But for some of those people, like Gary Vee, he says you can spend the first 10 years of your adult life playing around and still have a lifetime ahead of you to get it right. For some of those people, that is their play around, and then they turn around at some point in their life, and they'll always have some of those wild experiences to go back on. Mine was some of my early years in the Marine Corps, some of my early stuff. Some other people, same thing. Some people have college. Spring break is always a party in that regard. So if you like that kind of stuff, go for it. I think the essence of spending time in an environment with really good friends and just living life on the line, and having to, I don't know, the movie story of having to go work at a car wash for the day because you want beer money for the night. Like, stuff like that to me is cool, because that's what life's about, is the experiences that you create along the way. So underrated. Spring break, underrated.
Zombies.
Well, I thought we were going to have a zombie outbreak with this whole nonsense that happened this past year. And boy, was I excited. Me as well as many other self-proclaimed sheepdog. I don't know in what context. Zombies aren't real. Zombie movies are cool. Let's go with underrated because I love a good zombie movie. The one that just came out on Netflix, Army of the Dead by Zack Snyder. Other than Dave Bautista's character, because I wasn't a fan of his acting in that movie, super good movie. Those zombies were awesome.
Dodge.
Is it D-O-G-E?
D-O-D-G.
I think she's trying to say Doge. I think she's trying to say Dogecoin. If she's not, I'm hijacking Dogecoin. Dogecoin is underrated, and I am a self-proclaimed, I say that word again, hater of Dogecoin. Here's why it's underrated though, because it was created as a joke. There is no real investment strategy to Dogecoin whatsoever. However, the people collectively came together and was like, we're gonna make this something and we're gonna make some money off of it. And because of the way crypto and the stock market works, enough people came to the same unified fact and Dogecoin blew up and a lot of people made a lot of money off of it. So for that, I think that is such a strong argument that there is such power in numbers, whether it's, government control, rebelling against government control, and those kinds of things. There is such power in numbers that if we can unify, there's nothing that can stop us as people and human beings. So underrated for that regard. Now, if she's talking about Dodge, I'll just double tap it. If she's talking about Dodge, overrated. I think Dodge's success, a lot of it has come from two things. The I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like the re-imaging of the Hellcat line has become very popular. And then I think Cummins for a long time propped up their company, because every Chrysler product that I've ever had experience with is a big ball of garbage. But the Cummins notoriously is one of the best diesel engines ever created. Some would argue the best. So I think Dodge is overrated.
Tiny homes.
Tiny homes. I think tiny homes are underrated. Underrated for the simplicity of what they are, and from a investor real estate standpoint, because of how little they cost to make and then what you can do with them. I think tiny homes is a cool idea. Now, the people that put a tiny home on a trailer and drag it around, I think there's better ways to do that. So for that regard, I think that's overrated. I think it's a novelty at that point. And I hate to quit splitting these like this, but this is how my brain works. But I'm going to stick with underrated on tiny homes.
Man caves.
Man caves are... Man caves are overrated. I think there is I think if you have to create a space that you have to go to escape the reality of your life, whether it's your wife, your kids, I think you've messed up somewhere along the lines. You're not attentive enough to them or yourself or the collective family thing. And I think you should look into that a little deeper. For that reason, I think man caves are overrated. Karaoke is underrated because I've seen karaoke more than anything get people out of their shells at a bar. They get a couple drinks and they start jamming on karaoke, and all of a sudden they have the best night of their life. So karaoke's underrated. Modern art? Underrated because I forget her name. There's a couple really cool artists, like up and coming. Sean Whalen, even though he blocked me on Instagram and Facebook for some reason. Probably because him and I are very similar mindsets. If any of you watch this, has a connection to him, send this to him. At least this clip. Him and I have very similar mentalities with things, except for I have a no bullshit attitude. So when he starts trying to pass the blame off on other people, I will, being as insignificant as I am, because he thinks he's significant and he's not, I will call him out on it. Like, look, you can't keep pointing the blame if you're not doing anything as well. And that's a whole different thing. Anyways, there's an artist that he goes through, I don't know their name, and there's another artist I found that has done a bunch of St. Louis pieces using old vinyl records and stuff like that, and her stuff rocks. Like, I'm not an art guy, but when I get to a point where I can afford her stuff, because it is pricey, like in my house and all that, I would absolutely buy her pieces because it rocks. So modern art, underrated. Anime, overrated. I've never got into it. There's a big following to it, big fan base and all of that, but to me, overrated because I've never got it.
Bow ties.
Bow ties?
Yep.
Underrated. It takes a confident individual to pull off the slick bow tie. Tank Machine on Instagram, I think his handle right now is Tank something XX35 or something like that. Cody Tanksley, former retired, I think, gunny in the Marine Corps. Did a promotion with the Marine Corps campaign. Super cool dude. I would love to be friends with him at some point. He pulls off a bow tie pretty well. Underrated.
Biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy, wildly underrated. Biscuits and gravy are my jam. It doesn't matter. I'm not a breakfast person. I rarely eat breakfast. But if biscuits and gravy is made, I'm eating biscuits and gravy. Wildly underrated.
Disney World.
Disney World, to me, Disney World is overrated. I think there's better experiences you can have as a family. However, for a kid, Disney World is properly rated because there is a certain magicalness that comes from Disney World. But I'm still going to stick with overrated. I think there's more things you can do with that money that'll give you a funner time.
Last one, essential oils.
Essential oils, I don't know enough about them. Let's go with, I would have once said overrated, but I'm kind of on this holistic thought process of trying to figure out more natural things to help me heal some of my problems, some of the things I got medically retired for. So I'm open to anything, and there's a lot of people out there. I mean, a lot of people. If this many people are a fan of essential oils, can it really be a hoax? So that's where my mindset's going with that. So I'm going to go with properly rated, but I just don't know, and I've never done anything with them before. That's the last question. We've got about an hour till we get home. Appreciate you guys jamming with me. Sorry for some of my rants. This is about the same length as the first one. If you like these, drop a comment below, and I'll try to hit up one of these a week or one every 2 weeks or something like that. Some point might run out of topics, but that's why I got you guys. Put your suggestions in the comment below. I enjoy doing these, so I hope you enjoy watching them. Other than that, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for riding with me on this journey. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Got anything you want to say to them?
No.
Keep chasing your dreams. I love you. I'll see you in the next one.